Hey guys, so today's Arizona Wonders adventure is one of my favorite places to hike in the whole Phoenix area. It's called Hidden Valley. It's on the South Mountain, in the South Mountain Park, and we're taking a trail called Mormon Trail on the way up to Hidden Valley here, and you'll see shortly why I like it so much. It's just a place of spectacular rock formations and plant life and views. So come along and check it out with me. And Hidden Valley is an appropriate name because it is kind of just tucked off of the National Trail. We took Mormon Trail up to get to it today, but it also comes off of National Trail, which is one of the more popular trails on South Mountain Park. But over here we've got a few petroglyphs, which is kind of always like a gold nugget to find here in Arizona when you're on hikes. This one here looks like it might be a deer or an elk or something. It's hard to tell what this one is. And just a variety of different etchings over here. So that's one thing I always looking for on these hikes. But probably the coolest feature on this Hidden Valley hike is this little tunnel right here. And it's all natural, just formed by rocks eroding and falling on top of each other and so forth. But you can see how shiny the surface is, and when you touch it, it's just super smooth. Now we're here on a pretty cool day where there's no concerns about heat or dehydration or anything. But when you're hiking this in the summer months, it's a great place to come and just get a little respite from the heat. Now, the coolest thing about Hidden Valley is you can really venture off into little places like I'm headed right now and find all kinds of new discoveries. And the main thing is, as long as you either stay on trail or stay on rock surface, you're okay. So once you get up out of that tunnel, you can just kind of create your own trail up here. The main thing is to not get lost. So thankfully there's this nice little wash here that's pretty easy to see from pretty much any vantage point up here. And this is an interesting marking. Looks like paint, and obviously a no-no to do this in natural areas. Wow, that's not really paint, almost more like some sort of adhesive, like a construction adhesive, and I have no idea what that would be doing up here. Nearly 2 miles from the closest parking lot, but that's what it seems to be. So when you get up here, the views are just spectacular, and you can just look all around. Down here, on the GoPro you probably can't tell, but right about where my finger's pointing, there are some buildings. That's downtown Phoenix right there. And by the way, this park, South Mountain Park in Phoenix, is managed by the city of Phoenix, is reportedly the largest city managed park in the country. It's around 17,000 acres, and to put that in perspective, just to give you a sense for how big it is, the largest ski resort in the United States is Vail Resort, and that's somewhere around 5,000 acres. So multiply Vail times 3 and then add a couple thousand acres more, and that's the size of this park. So there's many trails, dozens of trails that run through this park, and the key one is called National Trail. It kind of runs across the spine of feels like one mountain, but it's actually 2 different mountains. And this place we're at, Hidden Valley, is a little spur off of National Trail. So what we're going to do after we look around and take some pictures here and so forth, I'm on a hunt for more petroglyphs. I love finding petroglyphs, but anyway, what we're going to do after that is head down into that wash, and you can see how it kind of goes up over there. But anyway, we'll work our way up over there and see another highlight of this trail. Pretty famous in these parts. It's called Fat Man's Pass, and you'll see why in a little bit here. But in the meantime, just enjoy the view. So we've had a lot of rain here recently, so things are pretty green, but also you can see the evidence of water that had been flowing here recently. So if you imagine, when the rain comes down, obviously with all this rock, there's not much seeping into the ground there, so it just kind of puddles and runs off into these little washes here. Now, just to continue with that rainfall discussion, so this is the desert, and obviously we don't get a lot of rain, but it's astounding to see how the wildlife can still exist out here. And I think part of the secret is a lot of these plants do store a lot of water. I mean, it's pretty well known that cactuses like this little cluster of fishhook barrel cacti, I guess we'd call it. There's a lot of moisture inside that tissue there, and then actually that's why so many desert plants have quills or spines on them to prevent animals from getting at the flesh, the moisture. Even a tree like this one here, a Palo Verde, if you look up really close, has a lot of little spines on it, so it kind of protects the plant. This is an ocotillo, and I'll show you the same thing if you look up close enough. A lot of spines on it. In fact, this plant right here, it's rare to even see it green. This is because of all the moisture that we've had. But if you look really close, it's like a skeleton stick almost that goes up through there. And majority of the year, I would say probably 10 to 11 months out of the year, that's all you see of these ocotillos when you're out in the wild is just the sticks kind of poking up out of the ground. They almost look dead. But all it takes is a little bit of rain and they green right back up. So one cool thing I wanted to show you all is this little bowl up here on this rock. Looks like when it rains, and by the way, I might get a chance to show you this a little bit later, given the clouds moving in. But look at that little bowl there. It looks like it would just fill up with water, and of course after it fills up, then the water would run over. But lizards, birds, bees, any type of animal would be able to come up here and get water out of that for a day or two after a good rain. So anyway, just some of the cool fascinating aspects of life in the desert that I always like to observe and point out when I can. Hopefully it's interesting to you as well. This appears to be an alcove, but chances are this was hollowed out by water running through here over the millennia. But just so cool. Now, the nice thing about something like this is that if need be, if we get caught in a big heavy rainstorm out here, we can go hide under here and wait out the rainstorm. Just fascinating. And there's another one right down there in the wash. And for those of you that are new to my videos or Arizona desert living in general, a wash is basically a dry creek bed. You can see all the sand in there, and that's because when the water runs down here after a heavy rainstorm, it pulls all the little grit and gravel off of rocks like this and deposits it right down into that little stream bed. Look at these little pieces of rock here. Wouldn't be unthinkable, right, to be able to, if you were an Indian out here living, take something like that and make an arrowhead out of it with a little bit of pounding and shaping. Maybe make an axe out of something like that. We've all seen those tools in pictures, those prehistoric tools in pictures in museums and that. And I could see pieces of rock like that being used for tools like that, even just to scrape and dig. Be like almost like a little trowel. And by the way, this area is known for having Native American Indian life. In fact, the evidence of it is the petroglyphs I showed you back there. And actually, I don't know how I would get up there, but I just spotted some more petroglyphs straight up, right behind that Palo Verde tree sitting in front of that rock face there. So again, more evidence of the Indians that once lived in this area. And it's believed that they didn't necessarily live here, but they hunted here. Okay, there's a village down in Phoenix, not too far from here, probably about 6 or 7 miles as the crow flies straight north from here, where they were known to have inhabited, and they've actually turned it into the Pueblo Grand Museum, where you can actually walk through the former structures that they lived in. So now we face a little challenge here with trying to get up over this rock. What's it going to be, bud?
You can make it.
Yeah, so one of the challenges of this trail is, you know, just kind of picking your path here. And me and my buddy Randy chose different paths. He went up and around. I'm just going to come down here and hopscotch over this little crevice here. You can see signs of water running down here right now, actually. What happens? So I was just talking about how we've seen evidence of water running through here, and look at this spot right here. So those are the roots of these shrubs up here, and looks like the water was running through here so much very recently that just pulled the dirt all the way away from the roots there. That's pretty fascinating. And then also here to see, you know, a combination of you know, debris being pushed up in there, and then even branches having been broke off. Oh, cool. There's a group of people hiking up ahead of us here. So, again, I challenge you to find another park within a city, a large metropolitan city in the United States, that offers an experience like this. I'm just continually fascinated. This is probably my 4th or 5th time here, and can never get enough of it. It's just an amazing park. We're starting to get some light rain right now. Glad it's not heavy rain, because these rocks would be very, very slippery if it was heavy rain. But here it is. Isn't this cool? You can see the water just running down from a spot like this, and I imagine once it does start raining hard, this really just starts gushing. We might get a chance to see that. We are in the midst of 2 weather fronts that are dropping heavy rain to the east of us, to the south of us, and to the west of us. So, law of averages, that we're going to see some significant rain today. And I wouldn't mind at all to see it on the trail. Another interesting set of rock formations here to navigate. Okay, so another fascinating rock formation here. Just to me, again, a sign of water erosion over the years, and you know, just mind-blowing to think that there was that much water up in here, these big old rocks, to cause that kind of erosion. And once again, we see that it gets a little dicey here with the navigation. And again, the trail just kind of generally winds up through here, so you can pretty much pick any line you want to get up in there back to the wash. But because of the light rain falling and the fact that the rocks are getting a little slippery, I'm choosing a route that's a little bit more like stair steps instead of rock faces. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Come on, knees, don't let me down. This is hiking in the rain. Still a light rain so far, but there's promise of heavier rain to come if you just look around. But believe me, here in Arizona, the rain is welcome. Definitely over the 110 degree heat that we have so much of the year. Alright, so we're approaching Fat Man's Pass. I know I can't make it through with my fanny pack on, my water supply, so anyway, this is Fat Man's Pass. And the idea there is to squeeze through it. And depending on the angle, you know, it looks thinner in some directions than others. But I think I'm slightly less fat than I was last time I came, so I'm going to give it a whirl here. And if you're watching this video, that means I made it through there. Didn't need to get yanked out by a rescue crew or anything. I'm gonna give it a shot, Randy. I'm gonna squeeze through the pass real quick, and then I'll catch up with you. So for me, it's more of a claustrophobia thing than anything, as to why I come this way. And I think you'll be able to see why, but it's not as bad, for me anyway, going this way as it is going up. I've tried going up the other way, and it was just not as, I don't know, comforting. So, and then sometimes the kids, when they're here, they'll hike up and just slide right down this and then land into the little makeshift sand pit there. So it is raining. I've already got my pack off, and thankfully in there I've got my rain shells. Okay, we've done a full-on rain mode right now. Got the rain jacket on, and it's pretty hard driving rain out of the south. Here we have a good example of how the water pools up on these little bowls that form in the rocks here. So you can imagine here for a couple days after the rain stops, there will be some water there for the lizards and snakes and bees and so forth. Nice little creek just kind of running over the rocks here. And on down the trail. The desert takes on a whole different appearance during the rain shower like this. A rare sight indeed in South Mountain Park. Be careful. Oh my goodness. You can see all the sediment washing down here. That's what I was talking about. That's how all that sand ends up in the wash. Alright, so that's it for this adventure here. This AZ Wonders adventure on the up to Hidden Valley on Mormon Trail in the south part of Phoenix. This is from the 24th Street Trailhead, so I'll make sure to include a link to the map on my blog post, which will be inserted in the comments down below the video here. So if you want to check it out yourself sometime, you can do that. And that's all for now. Take care, everybody.